It is always humbling to stand up and go after Coca-Cola, who's been around for 125 years. So congratulations to Michael and the team on Coca-Cola, especially when we're at Facebook. It's only been 7 years since our company began. What I'd like to do is start my presentation off with a picture of a dog. So Dan and Brian, thank you for putting your son Parker up. I'm trying to get some sympathy here by putting Hugo up. Hugo is a dog from Missouri. For those of you not from the United States, that's in the Midwest. And he traveled 1,000 miles to be with my parents about a month ago. So how did that happen? Well, I can promise you Hugo didn't get up and walk 1,000 miles. It happened through a site called Pet Finder, which is a site that essentially links people that are passionate about animals with people who have found or rescued them. And in doing so, it's reduced euthanized pets from 16 million a year down to 4 million in the United States. And you're probably saying, okay, Carolyn, you're with Facebook, why are you talking about Pet Finder? The reason why I'm talking about it is they just celebrated their 15th anniversary. And what's interesting about this site is it connects people with people. However, when it started 15 years ago, people really weren't real people online. We were this funny thing called a screen name. Mine was CNE Pluto. I'm sure all of you had screen names, and back then we really didn't think about putting our entire life and our profile up online. But boy, did things change. So 7 years ago, our founder and a couple of engineers said, what if we make real people online? And what would that do? Could you imitate how we interact in a normal offline setting, but try to put that in an online environment? And that was the start of Facebook. Today, this is what my profile page looks like. I share information about my family, tell people where I work, what I'm interested in. We bank online, we shop online. It's become a very natural part of what we do. Every single day, we're updating people about what's important in our life. And if you think about it, what we've tried to do is create a social graph or a map of all of these connections. And sometimes the updates are fairly mundane. People tell you what they've been up to. Sometimes they're profound, like when something happens at the birth of a child or a wedding. And sometimes people take it really seriously, as you'll see in a video in a moment about what they do. So what I'm here to talk about is how the web has changed and reorganized itself around people, and what the implications are from a marketing perspective, but probably even more importantly, what the implications are from a business perspective. The fun part about this presentation is, although, yes, I'm from Facebook and you're going to hear our point of view, the truth is, whether it's been RIM this morning or Coca-Cola or Nestle that's coming up, or OMD's presentation yesterday around social, everyone is talking about the phenomenon of actually putting people at the center of your business and your marketing campaign, and what happens when you do that. So let's look at what some of the data shows. More than half of the American population actually gets their news now from their friends. It's totally changed the news industry and what's happened with newspapers and traditional cable and broadcast news. 60% actually find a job through their friends. And 90% of people prefer to actually get a recommendation from their friends on music as opposed to an actual music critic. This is exactly how you and I interact. Think of the people you've met over the last 24, 48 hours. You've met them, you introduce yourself, and within the first few minutes, you start to get to a funnel around what that person is about. You may ask them where they work, where they're from, where they used to work, about their family, and that's how you and I interact in a normal offline setting, and that's essentially what Facebook is trying to do. Let me share this video of people taking it a little bit too seriously, perhaps.
Before these witnesses, and more importantly, before Almighty God, I now pronounce you husband and wife. What God has joined together, let no one separate. Oh, Dana is updating his relationship status on Facebook. If it's official on Facebook, it's official in my book. Dana, you may kiss your bride.
At Facebook, we recommend updating your status after you kiss the bride, but the point is that people are very eager to give their friends and family updates. So here's an example of what a profile is starting to look like. So not only are the profiles have information about your personal life, your family, where you work, but increasingly people are putting information about the brands that they love and things they want to be connected to. Every single day, 15 million people become friends on Facebook. And every single day, 50 million likes are happening on brand pages. So what does that mean? That means that people are telling us that the relationship they have with brands are a key part of who they are, which of course makes sense. Think about, again, how you live your life outside of the digital environment. What car you drive, what clothes you wear, what sneakers you wear, what beverages you drink, what devices you use. We define ourselves not only by the friends we keep and our family and our jobs, but also the relationship we have with brands. And what we're doing at Facebook is making these connections happen. Here's an example for P&G with Old Spice, and many of you probably have heard about the Old Spice guy. He's now up to over 1.5 million fans. And what P&G does is they actually now interact in a two-way environment with the Old Spice guy, with friends of the brand, in a very authentic way. So when you look at the Old Spice guy and you look at his updates and people follow them, this is an example of what he may say. A relaxing Monday morning filled with 37,000 squat thrusts, ripping professional weights, and bathing in Swagger body wash. And I thought my morning workouts were exciting. The point is that when people are following these brands, they have to do so in a very authentic way. Why? Because the communication's no longer one way. I've done print, I've done TV in my career, and a lot of those mediums have been a very one-way dialogue with the consumer. This is not about that at all. Probably the most important thing is not talking to your consumer, but listening. Listening to what they have to say, handing the power of allowing them to actually run with your brand and bring the expression to life. Look what Coca-Cola has done with those two fans that created that first fan page. They've incorporated them. They've allowed them, they've elevated them, and as a brand, they've stood back and said, let the consumer who is passionate about our brand, who's not only just a fan, but a fanatic, be the voice and be the advocate for our brand. This is word of mouth marketing at scale. It's exactly what you and I used to do 10 years ago when some great experience happened and we'd pick up the phone and tell somebody about it. Now, the average person on Facebook has 130 friends, so when they like a brand and they tell somebody, it explodes through the network in a very two-way conversation. American Express had a really interesting case study, and over the last 24 hours, a lot of the brands that I've sat with have said to me, so what are some of the brands doing on Facebook? I don't quite get exactly how you can get to putting the people in the middle and really reorganizing your marketing. And I've said, if you look at what happened with Facebook, it is really in 4 different phases. And again, I oversimplify things. At first, it was about getting your page up and running. And 2.5 million businesses have now put their pages on Facebook and have even abandoned their own websites. Okay, you've got a page. Then it was the race to get fans, and everybody wanted to acquire as many fans as possible. And there's still no doubt that that is a critical component of it. Then it's how do I start to talk and engage with my fans and let them be powerful. And then it's actually how do I start to really redesign my business in a social environment. American Express, working with their small businesses, tried to say, what happens if I put people at the center and rethink how I actually can get people to shop at small businesses? Digitas did a fabulous, fabulous job collaborating with us and American Express on this campaign. And it wasn't just a marketing campaign because it really reimagined how American Express works with small businesses. So in the United States, on Thursday is Thanksgiving in November. On Friday is something we call Black Friday, which means it's a big retail day. It's the most important sales day of the year for retail stores. So the idea was to take the Saturday, the day after, and actually make that really special for small businesses. So not only did small businesses and card members get a $25 credit if they shopped there, but they created a Facebook presence and let the fans tell other fans of the American Express brand, let alone 1.4 million people became engaged, 100,000 businesses downloaded the marketing materials, engaged with their fans. Sales were up 27% in the small businesses this past year on the Saturday after Thanksgiving versus the prior year. It was an amazing success story. It wasn't about buying banners or doing a big media deal. It was, how do we reignite small businesses and put a stake in the ground and really rethink our relationship with our consumers and small businesses? It was a great, great case study. So what happens when people say they like a brand, right? You have Coca-Cola's now up to 27 million, Starbucks has over 20 million, RIM has over 14 million fans. Well, here's what happens. As I say that I like a brand, and I see a brand put out a promotion or an article or a video or something that I'm excited about, and then it goes into my news feed, my friends are 68% more likely to remember seeing the ad because my name's attached to it, or Michael's name is attached to it if I'm a friend of Michael's. They're 100% more likely to actually remember the ad's message, because it's not just a display ad, right? Their friends are there. And they're 300% more likely to actually buy the product. This is all Nielsen research. We have it well documented for any of you that would like it. The point is, we care about what our friends tell us to do. Again, word of mouth marketing at scale, very powerful. Let me quickly tell you about how some businesses are thinking about building around people, and then I'll turn it over to Pete. We have this saying called social by design at Facebook. And if you've ever been to our offices, which I know many of you have, and we invite you to come, it's an amazing sort of open entrepreneurial environment. And there's these bumper stickers all over the place that say social by design. And well, really, what does that mean? It really means we're passionate about people thinking about building their businesses around people. Here's an example. 5 years ago, all of these companies had amazing photo products. If I scroll through this list, you'll see awesome features. You could edit a photo, you could make a calendar, a photo book, you could crop, you could do all these amazing things. 2 interns at Facebook said, we need a photo product. And literally in 24 hours, they created one. It was probably the worst product ever when you think about what these companies had. It didn't have any of the features that these companies had developed over the years. But what did it have? It had the ability to tag a photo, to make it social, to make it easily shareable. And what happened? 30 billion photos per month are now shared on Facebook. It is the #1 photo sharing site. The top 4 combined don't equal the amount of activity that's happening on Facebook because we built it around people. Here's another example. Halo 3, awesome game. Many of you may play it. Amazing graphics, blockbuster titles that EA and other great publishers can spend $10 to $100 million creating. They're like movie blockbusters. Here's a screenshot of another company's game. It looks like the graphics could have been created 10 years ago, with all due respect to Zynga. It's called Cityville. What happens? In 5 weeks, they get 60 million people engaged, passionate, and fairly obsessed with their game. Zynga's now worth, if you believe the secondary market, more than the major game publishers. Why? They built their business on the platform of putting people at the center and making social at its core. So here are a few principles that we like to share. And I know I'm going to be controversial on the first one already, based on the first presentation this morning. people first, content second. I've had a lot of debates internally about this as well. I'm from the content side. I've been at Disney, at MTV, and Nickelodeon, and I value content and think it's extremely important. But what's really powerful is when you get people to engage about that content. Get them to spread it, get them to share it, tell their friends about it. Make that sharing simple and fast. We have a saying, it's better to be done than perfect at Facebook. Get it out, let the community try it, let them share, get the feedback, keep on iterating. A few people, a few passionate people can activate many. Look at what happened with Coca-Cola. 2 guys started a fan page. They're now hosting Coca-Cola's 125th anniversary, 27 million fans. Literally, a couple of people can do a lot. And guess what? We all care about where our friends are. We care about where they are. We go out to dinner with our friends. Think about how you live your life in a real-world environment. That's what we're trying to emulate in a digital world. So what does this mean for your business? We have this other saying at Facebook that our journey is 1% finished. And I've only been at Facebook, this is my 7th week. And I can tell you the best part of my first week of orientation was this one quote. Because I had no idea when I joined the company that this was really in the DNA, and we truly believe we were only 1% finished. We're over 500 million users. We've got incredible engagement. I'm like, only 1%? What does that mean? It truly means that we actually don't even know yet how to use the platform. We've imagined some ways. We've had great case studies. We are really excited to partner with the folks in this room, the creative community, our media agency and planning agency partners, and the clients, to help us figure out actually what's the power when you literally connect the world globally in an environment that mimics the offline world. What can we do with that? So my challenge to everyone in the room is think big with us. Challenge us. Ask us if, have you thought about that? Can we do this? Some of the best ideas are going to come from true collaboration. When we're at the table with the client and the agency, and all the case studies that I've shown and the ones that you're going to see have had very common themes. An evangelist, a champion at the client that believes, that challenges the status quo. An agency that's leaning in and saying, how do we work with you? And of course, we have to be at the table to provide our research, our product expertise, our engineering, our marketing, not just have salespeople show up to sell you media. That's not what we're about. We're trying to change, if you look at what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do, he's trying to literally change society with connecting people. And what we're trying to do in our sort of small way is figure out how to change marketing and build your businesses around people. So I thank you. It's a privilege to be on stage with these great brands, and I invite Pete up next. So thank you.